Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for everyone who have joined on, and welcome to everyone who has recently logged on. Thank you for joining us for the launch of the Journal of Virology seminar series. Today is a very exciting day as we officially launch this seminar series. My name is Maria Smith, and I previously worked as a postdoc at the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And over the next hour, I will serve as your moderator for this afternoon's webinar. This afternoon, we will have a very exciting opportunity to really hear from and directly interact with the Journal of Virology co-editors, who are Dr. Felicia Goodrum and Dr. Stacey Schultz-Cherry, who are our featured speakers for today. So this afternoon, you will hear more about the seminar series and also learn about its goals, the seminar format, as well as the speaker selection process. And you'll also have the opportunity to learn more about the Journal of Virology, ways in which you can submit to this journal, and also ways in which you can get more involved with JVI. Before we get started into introductions and also the presentation, just a few reminders that this webinar is being recorded. Also, an attendance certificate will not be provided, but you will get a Zoom email, a thank you email at the conclusion of this webinar that you can use as proof of attendance. And lastly, if you do have any questions or comments throughout the presentation and discussion, please remember to use the question and answer, the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, which can be located in the horizontal bar. We encourage you to ask questions and share your thoughts, as we would love to hear from you all, our JVI community. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our JVI co-editors, Dr. Goodrum and Dr. Stacey Schultz-Cherry. Thank you both for being with us today, and we are very excited to hear from you and learn more about your vision for the seminar series.
Thank you, Maria. It's great to be here. I'm very excited for the launch of the seminar series. I'm Felicia Goodrum. I'm a professor at the University of Arizona, but I will be moving my lab to the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth College. So this is my first big announcement of that. And we're really happy to launch this exciting series. Stacey?
Yes, thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you here. My name is Stacey Schultz-Cherry. I am a full member or professor in the Department of Host Microbe Interactions at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And I don't have any big exciting announcements like I'm moving my lab anywhere, but we're happy to have you here, and we're hoping that it'll be an interactive session, and want to thank Maria in advance for being a fantastic moderator. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started and tell you more about the seminar series that we're really excited to be launching. Christine, next slide. Okay, so why? Why are we doing this? And we decided that it was important to host a seminar series to really highlight the exciting discoveries that are happening in virology. And we wanted to provide a public forum for authors to share their recent work with the JVI network, the scientific community, and just as importantly, with the public. So we are hoping that the public will get involved, that people will watch the seminar series, use it when they're teaching, use it in their courses. You know, we're really hoping that to use this forum to cultivate a dynamic scientific space. We want to bring in engaging speakers from diverse scientific backgrounds and different geographical locations. And we think that's really important. We want to hear from the virologists around the world. We want to hear from the people actually doing the science and having them share the science, why they did that, why they're excited about it with you, the virology community. We also want to provide opportunities to engage with and learn more about the JVI editorial team. So who are the editors? How do you become an editor? What kind of science do we do? What makes us tick? As well as what's the exciting initiatives that are happening at JVI. And again, we want to hear from you, the community, about ways we can continue moving the community and the journal forward. And finally, it's really to increase the visibility of the Journal of Virology among the scientific community. We know that you as scientists have a lot of different options when you think about where to submit your science. And we want you to think about us and share, you know, your exciting stories and research with the Journal of Virology and its community. Next slide, please. All right, so how is this going to work? Well, we're starting off with having these bi-monthly. We're doing that just so that we can start to get a feel for how this is going to work, not inundate either ourselves, our editors, or the ASM staff, or our authors. It's going to be an hour-long live webinar that features invited labs to present their recently published JVI manuscript. And this is the format that we're going to take. So the first 5 minutes will be speaker introduction and really some background about them. We want you to get to know these authors. Then they'll go into sort of what their studies were, the background, and really talk about the studies themselves for about 35 minutes. This will be followed by a question and answer session. This is your opportunity to engage, to ask questions, to really find out what drove the science. And then we want to end with those authors providing some kind of message, right? Where do they think the field is going? What do they think are the most exciting unanswered questions? What kind of a career advice do they have for trainees? It can really be anything that those authors want to share with the community. An important component of this is that these are going to be moderated, of course, by the wonderful Dr. Maria Smith, but also by the JVI editors themselves. We want the scientists really, engage, asking the questions and helping to drive the seminar series forward. Importantly, because we do appreciate that there's not going to be a perfect time or date for everybody, because we do want this to be a global seminar series. So it's going to be live streamed and recorded. The recordings will be posted on the JVI homepage, and they'll include a synopsis and a direct link to the manuscript. We think this is really important in that if you can't attend this live, that you still have access to the information and to the recording itself. Next slide, please. All right. Oh, lots of slides. Okay, so when you think about what we want these authors to get across to you guys, it's what was the question, right? Why did you even ask it? Why was this important? What did you find, right? And again, why is this important? Not just to you, your research field, but beyond that. Does this have implications beyond virology? Is it important or something that the community, the public needs to think about? And really, what are the future directions of your work? And it's kind of a little bit of a different format. If you think about those of us who do seminars or we do journal clubs, it's a bit of both. It'll be much more like a seminar than the authors will take figure 1, here's what it shows. Figure 2, here's what it shows. We really want this to be a seminar. We want it to be interactive, and we want the community engaged and asking questions. I think as importantly, we want to hear from the people in the lab doing the science. So we're hoping that these lead authors, these corresponding authors, the PIs, will engage and involve their trainees. Let's hear from the people doing the science, especially those trainees, and give them that opportunity to really share what their studies are and their passion and enthusiasm for their work. Next slide. So when is the next webinar? As we mentioned, it's going to be bi-monthly. The first actual webinar will be March 2025. Again, the content will be accessible in advance. So if you're interested, you can register for the Journal of Virology seminar series. The website is shown here, but basically you go to the ASM site. You can either search for or go to the webinar section, and what you'll find is the Journal of Virology seminar series. Once you hit register, it will take you to the site. You registered, it will send you reminders of that the seminar series is upcoming. So we're very excited to show that our first paper that will be featured was a really exciting paper that we chose for several reasons. And it's by Dr. Christine Marassi and her group, including the New York City virus hunters. And as you can see, it's detection of H5N1 influenza viruses in New York City. So we're very excited to hear from Christine, the trainees involved in the work, and really hear more about this, I think, very cutting edge, not just, research, but also community engagement in virology and getting trainees, high school students, people involved in science. So we hope that you'll stay tuned for that. And again, their information will be available on the JVI website. And that's also, again, where these will be posted, where you can link to the paper so you can read those in advance. Next slide, please. And I think one question that came up, and it really, Felicia and I discussed this for quite a long time before we decided to launch this, is how do we even choose the papers that we want to feature? Because we get so many fantastic articles in the Journal of Virology. And at least to start, what we're going to do is we're going to take nominations from the editors. Did they handle or did they read a manuscript that they thought was really interesting? And we want it to be current, right? So we don't want something from 3 years ago. We may also look at the metrics. What is getting read? What is getting cited? What is, exploding on social media? And then the community. We want to hear from you guys. You can email us. We put our JVI editor-in-chief email there. We just started, so we haven't posted anything yet because I literally made the account last night. The JVI co-editor-in-chief site on Blue Sky. And we want to hear from you. If you read an article that you're really excited about, let us know. And we're excited that we've opened this up to all article types. So it doesn't have to just be, a full-length manuscript. It could be a mini review. It could be a new data letter. It could be a gem. We have a lot of different types of articles that are featured in Journal of Virology, and we think all of them are interesting and exciting, and we want all of them to have an opportunity to be featured. And we would encourage you to spread the word about the seminar series within your lab, your department, your institution, and with your social media networks. It's really important. The success of this is dependent on you guys. So we're hoping that you'll help us get the word out and choose the articles you'd love to hear more from these authors. Next slide. And with that, I have done my due diligence, unless Felicia or Maria have a comment, something I forgot. If not, I will turn it over to Felicia.
Great, that was awesome, Stacey. Makes me even more excited for what we're doing here. So I just want to talk a little bit about what Stacey and I hope to do with the Journal of Virology and how we're working with ASM to really deliver the best possible thing to the field we can, service to the field we can through JVI. So the Journal of Virology explores science of all kinds of viruses, viral communities, evolution, immune responses, you name it, we want it. ASM really offers a global reach in that millions of downloads around the world happen annually to manuscripts that are published within ASM. And the impact is incredible that ASM can offer because 98% of articles cited are cited within the first 2 years. And this really becomes from the rigor and integrity of ASM articles, and that we are really very respected internationally for the manuscripts that our journals offer. We also really work to expedite review of manuscripts, and that's something that we're working on constantly, trying to increase how quickly we can turn around manuscripts. And also we like to really get manuscripts that have been transferred from other journals and even non-ASM journals, which we can offer an expedited review. And in all, we're really hoping to offer a community to microbiologists across the world, and especially in our case, virologists, to really support the community in the science that you're doing. And one of the ways we do that is by really offering editors and reviewers with expertise in the area of your manuscript. And I think that's really what delivers great value to you as authors. Next slide. And so we really are working for you. We are a society journal, which means that we serve the purpose of our community of virologists. We're not making profits on the articles that we're publishing. We're really just trying to serve the field. The top scientists that we've recruited as editors are really serving to referee your manuscripts and to provide fair and rigorous reviews. We are really inviting diversity in all forms, from the type of viruses you're studying to wanting to reach diverse areas of the globe and to really support all sorts of diversity in our authors, in our reviewers, in our editors, and in the manuscripts that we are publishing. We also are now welcoming unsolicited submissions of mini reviews and gems. So mini reviews are a short review format, not necessarily the review of an entire field, but more the review of a specific area in a field that is spanning a particular area of expertise. Gems can really span anything from perspectives on scientific areas or career development. And these you now no longer need an invitation to submit. We really want these to be in a way to support diversity from people who want to submit them. So please consider submitting mini reviews and gems. These are actually free to publish. So it's great to get a mini review or a gem that explores your area of scientific research or some perspective that you have published in the Journal of Virology. We also offer expedited review of previously reviewed manuscripts from non-ASM journals. So if your manuscript was reviewed at another journal and ultimately rejected, you can submit that to us with the reviews and your revised manuscript in which you have addressed the reviews as well as a response to the review. And we will get that expedited review. That's done by Stacey and I, Stacey for RNA viruses, me for DNA viruses, and we can return a decision generally within a week. We also have an active contributor track that hopefully many of you are part of. So if you've published a number of papers in the Journal of Virology, or if you've done a lot of service in reviewing for the Journal of Virology, you may be invited to submit a manuscript by the ACT or active contributor track. Under this track, you can solicit your own reviews for your manuscript, including at least one editorial board member of the Journal of Virology, and that will allow us to expedite the review of your manuscript. We also have format neutral submissions, meaning that you can submit your manuscript in any format in which you've written it, and we will review it. We are really working towards very rapid decisions on manuscripts, on average now 27 calendar days to a first decision. And this is something that we're working very hard to keep on track with for all manuscripts submitted to the journal. Journal of Virology is also working for the community of virology through advocacy. We work with ASM on their advocacy efforts to advocate for science and the strength of science. And we've published another number of editorials or commentaries on sort of the future of virology and the current state of virology that you can access free through the journal. And we continue to want to advocate for the field of virology through these efforts. Next slide, please. So we really encourage your submissions covering all aspects of the field, and here are some of the topic areas that we include, but we also would invite you again to reach out to us if you feel like the work you are doing is not encompassed in one of these areas. But we really want virology spanning the field and representing the field. Next slide, please. And JVI's readership really is global. Just over 24% of the readership of the Journal of Virology is from the United States. The majority of it is from the rest of the world, and that really excites us. And so we really, part of the impetus for starting the seminar series is to really make the Journal of Virology a global journal. This is often referred to as the bedrock of virology, and that is really the reputation that the Journal of Virology has always had in the field. And we want our outreach to be global, and we actually want to serve a global community. And I think that is very much represented in our readership. Next slide, please. And with that, I would just like to say thank you, and we would be happy to answer any questions, and really do encourage you to reach out and contact us so that we can make this the absolute best journal and the best seminar series serving the global community of virology.
Thank you, Felicia, and thank you, Stacey, for this wonderful presentation. I really hope it was informative for all those who have joined us today on this webinar. At this time, we really encourage you guys to ask any questions or just share any thoughts that you have regarding the seminar series. I was actually curious because I find it very impressive with the global reach on readership within JVI. And as Stacey also mentioned, that we really want to really encompass virologists around the world and really make it a global seminar series. So can speakers from international countries also participate as speakers within this JVI seminar series?
Yeah, I can take that. That's a great question, Maria. And I think just from glancing through the chat, it's really exciting to see the number of participants from around the world. And for some of you, thank you for staying up late. And for others, thank you for getting up early. But we absolutely want this forum to have a global outreach and feature articles from our colleagues around the world. It's not going to be, well, you have to be publishing from the US or, you know, wherever. Is we really want to engage the community, and we want to feature, you know, the best and the most exciting science, regardless of where it's from or what the virus is, what the topic is. Like Felicia mentioned, the first thing that we did when we became co-editors-in-chief is really broaden the scope of the Journal of Virology. We want it to be all things virology, regardless of you're working on the fine details of replication of a DNA virus or host responses and antivirals to, you know, an insect virus. We want them all, and that's what we want the seminar series to also represent, is what are we doing globally in virology and why is it so cool?
Yes, definitely. I also have another question with regards to the speaker selection process. I know, Stacey, you mentioned the editor nominations and also the metrics to begin with, but if there were any attendees who are on the call or any other members of the JVI community who would be interested in being a speaker of the seminar series, in what ways can they reach out and be considered to be a speaker for the series?
Felicia, you want to take that one?
Sure. Email us. There's our email right there on the screen. We are very happy to entertain nominations for journals. As I said, we're really looking for diversity of topics and authors. We want trainees. That means first authors of papers to join the seminar series. And so we really want that diversity of voices. And that's really going to take, I think, a broad swath of nominations from all kinds of people.
Yes, definitely.
And this is your seminar series, so be very actively involved. We'd like to shape it to make it work for you. If that means we need to have more, you know, if we want to ramp up because there's such a outpouring of support for this, we can ramp up the frequency of it. You know, we can really tailor it to be exactly what the community needs.
I fully agree. We really want that active participation and involvement from the community, not only nationally, but also internationally. And like we said, we want it to be extremely interactive, and we want to create the seminar series made by virologists for virologists. So it's really just for the community overall. I also have a few more questions coming in. It was asked, how can an individual become a member of the American Society of Microbiology? They are first-time visitors. Thank you for joining us today and welcome. So Stacey or Felicia, do you have any advice on how they're able to join ASM?
I think it's as easy as going on the website and clicking to become a member. And I do think that there are different membership levels depending on your stage of your career, but also where you're from in the world. And that the cost for membership is really very much sliding and depends on where you're from. So we would encourage you to join ASM. And of course, if you're interested, join American Society for Virology as well.
Yes.
But the nice thing about joining ASM, which of course you do not have to join to read Journal of Virology, to join the seminar series, but it does give you discounts when you go to publish.
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. We also have another question asking, does the journal also accept short genome announcements?
We currently don't accept those, but that is something certainly we could take under discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Felicia. We also have another question actually for you, Felicia. Kieran asked, I am trying to contribute in the review process for the virology related articles. How can I become a reviewer for ASM or JVI, which is the gold standard journal?
Thank you. Thank you for the recognition as the gold standard journal of virology. We absolutely agree. This is a tough one. We want a diversity of reviewers, but really the editorial process is completely in the hands of our editors. And so we often get people who would like to add their list to be a reviewer for Journal of Virology, and we certainly do keep those sorts of lists. But I think what I've been, in getting this question a lot lately, what I've been recommending to people is to reach out to the actual editors that are on our homepage for the Journal of Virology that are in your area of expertise. So let's say you study the effects of influenza and metabolism on influenza disease, then you might contact someone, an editor, with that expertise, which in this case might just be Stacey Schultz-Cherry, and say, I'm interested in reviewing, so that when she's assigning papers to be reviewed, that she could keep you in mind. And I think that's probably the best way to review for the Journal of Virology. Our editors really are picking strong scientists within their field with the expertise that is really just right for that paper. And so that really dictates our decisions on reviewers for each paper.
Okay, thank you, Felicia. Our next question is, how much is the APC for a JVI? And is there any waiver for some categories of authors based on country? I can also repeat if you guys would like.
Hopefully, ASM will give you specifics, and I know you can find it on the webpage, but there are, I think there are waivers based on categories or countries. So that is something that you should be able to find on the ASM website, or email one of us and we'll put you in contact with the person who should be able to give you those answers.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for that. I'll just add, we really hope that there'll be changes to the APC structure in the very near future.
Okay. Okay. Well, just connect with us via email and also with the JVI ASM emails to stay updated on the process for APCs. We also have a question regarding a student who's a master's student who's currently doing the dissertation, but she doesn't have any prior publication. So she's inquiring, how can one without a prior publication or professional experience contribute to this community?
I think exactly what you're doing right now, get involved, attend the webinars, ask questions, and talk to some of the more senior scientists where you're at, especially if you have an advisor. And this is true for any trainees. Ask if you can assist in the reviewing process. That's something that I do with my trainees and many PIs do is, work with them to review a paper together. Of course, you get permission in advance from the editor, but it's such an important learning opportunity for trainees at any level is how do you learn or how do you review a paper so that you can give a fair review, learn to write a very concise review that provides the important feedback they need to know to be able to address your questions. I think this is really an art form. So it's not just about learning how to criticize a paper. It's about how to take, that paper and break it down in a way that you can provide really constructive feedback to authors that they can address.
Yes.
Felicia, thoughts?
No, I absolutely agree. You hit it the nail on the head.
And I also think like the JVI seminar series is also a a really exceptional way to identify potential collaborators that could potentially overlap with the work that you're doing and possibly elevate the work that you're doing as well. So I think that's, it's like a two-pronged approach where it's mutually beneficial to not only the speakers, but also to the attendees as well. We also have a question about the possibility for eligible assistantship or scholarships for graduate students.
Yeah, that one's a harder one to answer. I think that's something you would have to email us so that we can get more information on exactly, what you're asking about in terms of, and it may be that you need to talk to societies if it's scholarships to attend meetings, or if it's, ways to help, I guess, alleviate some of the cost of publishing. So that's one you would need to reach out for so that we can have a sort of a more personalized discussion.
Yeah, so please reach out via the email on screen. Thank you for your question. It's so beautiful to see all the international locations that people are logging in from. We actually have someone from an African country, and the question is specific to that country based on the virology topics. So the question is if there'll be any virology topics that will be presented in a seminar series related to sub-Saharan African countries in this particular place, since it's been hit hard with viral infections in the eye of public health.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Felicia.
Great question. And we would love to feature things like that are really pertinent to the field, not just sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, what happened, viruses know no borders. And so it's really, all of this is a matter of global public health. And so we need manuscripts to sort of serve as the platform for that seminar series, but we would really welcome the topic.
Perfect. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I know we focused more on the seminar series, but Felicia also touched on a little bit on like publishing within JVI. So for any attendees who are interested in submitting articles to JVI, do you have any tips on how to create a very competitive journal submission to JVI? So give the attendees an idea of what exactly you're looking for.
Stacey, do you want to start off? I mean, there's a lot to say there.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We're looking for sort of, I think I heard somebody summarize it, what's new and cool, right? Is we want quality, clearly, but it doesn't have to be, so mechanistic. You've worked out every single detail of every single pathway, for an example. The question we ask ourselves, is the data compelling? Does it, or these are what I ask myself at least, does it support the author's conclusions? Does it bring something new to the field, right? And it doesn't have to be this major advance to the field, but is it important new information? Or is it something that we've never really thought about? Is it a new tool for the virology community? Is it in an area, is it a new virus that we've never thought about, or a new, with flu, is it a new subclade? Is it something new circulating? Those are, at least when I'm being editor, when I'm reviewing, those are the questions I'm asking myself. Is it important information, and is it bringing something interesting to the community? Felicia?
Yeah, and I think that really captures it. We want papers that are going to interest a broad scope of our global readership, and they have to be of very high rigor and integrity. And so I think that's really what defines Journal of Virology papers, and that's a bar that we are really hoping to maintain.
Thank you both for that response. And also, on the topic of journal submissions, there was also a question about the fees for submission.
That one, I think that's a hard one to answer. I know there's information on the website, but as Felicia mentioned earlier, that gets to the page charges, and we're hoping there's some things happening in the background that we can't talk about at this time, but we're hoping to be able to announce soon that could really change the cost to publishing with Journal of Virology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would just add that the Journal of Virology and all ASM journals are committed to providing the lowest possible charges for publication, especially for the value being delivered in peer review. And when you submit a paper, those charges become very clear. And so I would invite you to visit the Journal of Virology website, to learn more.
Yes. For in terms of the publications also, there's a question with regards to, for this specific seminar series, is it only going to feature publications from JVI or rather broadly encompassing ASM?
We are definitely focused on papers that were published in the Journal of Virology.
Thanks, Felicia. Will JVI also set up a call for papers in specific topics of interest in virology?
Say that one again.
So will JVI also set up a call for papers in specific topics of interest in virology?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question and something that we have discussed. You know, we think a lot about and talk to our editors a lot about, you know, innovative ways to move JV forward. And that's one of the things that we've thought about is opening up to specific topics or specific areas, but I can't give you an answer to that at this time. But if it is something the community is interested in or has topics they'd really like to hear more about, viral families, again, just contact us and let us know.
Yes, exactly. And the email is on screen for any suggestions or just inquiries about submissions or even speaking in the JVI seminar series. Let's see, just want to make sure we answer all the questions that are within the chat and Q&A. So I have noticed a lot of questions for persons who are interested in either submitting or they're working on the paper or they're early on in their graduate career or journey. There's a lot of questions with regards to publishing within ASM and JVI, which feel like we've touched on in terms of publishing within these journals. Do you have any other advice for these persons who are earlier on in their training and just tips? But I feel like we addressed that already. And there's a question in terms of becoming a reviewer that Felicia also addressed. And again, please feel free to reach out via email if you like any additional information. And the ASM JVI website is also very user-friendly and the interface is very nice in terms of all the information for these questions as well. Does JVI accept systematic reviews in virology?
Yeah, so I talked about the mini review format, and those don't tend to be systematic reviews. Instead of covering, for example, all of a field of a particular virus or all of virology, we would really invite authors to focus their reviews around a particular topic. So for example, it could be the regulation of DNA damage responses by a particular virus or the regulation of host metabolism, and do something that has a little bit more depth. The mini review format is a short format, so it really doesn't lend itself to being a really comprehensive or systematic review. But we do invite these. You do not need a specific invitation. The call is open for submitting a mini review, and so please do that, and they are published free of charge.
Yes. Thank you, Felicia. We have a question that will shift gears a little bit. It's a very open-ended question, but Omar is curious about the latest developments in the use of viruses in the treatment of cancer.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think that would have to be a whole seminar.
That could be a whole seminar, right?
That's a great topic. Yeah, so the use of, viral research has been a driver of cancer research for as long as I've been a scientist and way, way before that. We've learned so much about oncogenes and tumor suppressors through studying viruses. And now viruses are being harnessed as amazing treatments for cancer through oncolytic viral vectors that are proving really exciting therapeutic avenues. And so that would be a great thing we could have a seminar series on.
Yeah. And my challenge to you, Omar, is reach out. If you see any papers on this topic, you can suggest some speakers who can introduce this topic to JVI and we can have a broader discussion about this. But really, really great question. I believe at this point we have answered all the questions. If there are any additional questions, please feel free to use the Q&A chat. Just gonna give it a few seconds so that everybody has the opportunity to have the questions answered. But thank you all for joining us today. It was a great discussion. It was very informational, and I hope you all feel the same as well. Okay, we have another question coming in. They're doing work on virus-host interactions, and they have preliminary findings. Can they publish it within a mini review?
Actually, a mini review is not going to be the format for publishing original research. And so what a mini review is the review of existing research in a particular field or topic. And so that's what we're inviting for mini reviews. But we encourage you to finish up those preliminary findings and further develop them for an original research submission.
Thank you, Felicia. We also have another open-ended question. If viruses are considered non-living outside a host and living inside one, could they represent an entirely new category of existence, bridging the gap between life and non-life? Very complex question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I don't even know how to, that would have to be a whole, I don't even feel like that's a seminar. That could be a very interesting debate topic for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So,
yeah.
Yep.
But definitely thank you for asking. I mean, these are the kinds of engagements we want to have, even if we're like, we don't know how to answer that.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
But thank you.
Back to the topic of mini reviews, what are the qualifications required to be a mini reviewer?
Again, that speaks to the question about just really being a reviewer at the Journal of Virology. It really requires a presence in the field with expertise in an area, and all of our reviewer decisions are made by our editors. So if you'd like to be a reviewer, I would reach out to the editor that sort of has expertise matching yours, because they will get papers and will be assigning papers that would be fitting to your expertise.
Yes. And last question is referencing more conferences. So if there's an attendee who has attended an ASM or JVI specific conference, can they submit the manuscript to JVI? And will there be any advantage for selections? And we'll end with this question.
Unless they're at a meeting where there's a specific, I guess, call or even invitation to apply, we want the best science. So don't wait until you attend. If you think your science is ready for publication, you don't have to wait until you attend a meeting. Go ahead and submit. If you're at a meeting where they discuss, it's usually an editor will be there, a specific call for papers from that meeting. Again, it's another opportunity, but you don't have to wait to attend a meeting to get an invitation to submit to Virology.
Yes, thank you, Stacey, for that. And thank you all for all your questions. It was a pleasure to have you as part of the launch of this JVI seminar series, and a special thank you to the JVI co-editors, Stacey and Felicia, for their presentations and just telling us more about their vision for the seminar series and JVI overall. We hope that you are excited about this as we are about presenting your findings to the broader virology community on a regular basis. And if you have any additional questions or would require any more information information, like we've referenced throughout the presentation, please feel free to reach out via the email on screen. And we really hope to see you guys in future webinars and really get involved in really logging into our March webinars, which is really exciting that we're gearing up for. So be on the lookout for more information on that, and we hope to see you there. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for your questions. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you're located around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully see you in
Thanks.
March.
Yes.